Welcome to Living Grounded, Village's weekly Q&A, where you can ask anonymous questions about God, the Bible, life with Jesus, and all things in between. Hello, welcome to Living Grounded. I'm Ella, I'm here with Tim.
Hello.
On Sunday, we got to celebrate Village Church turning 3 and Finn's baptism, which was really exciting.
Was.
And we had 100 people, which is, I think, one of our biggest gatherings ever.
Yeah.
In sermon we got to hear what baptism is all about. If you couldn't make it, you can have a listen to that in the app. Let me get started with our first question. I love this question. I wondered this as well.
It wasn't you that put it in?
No, it wasn't me.
No.
Are there aliens in the Bible? What if we found out there were aliens?
Yeah, it's a fun question, isn't it? I'm a sci-fi enthusiast. Don't mind reading a sci-fi book or watching a movie, and it's just cool. It's a cool thought. Big space out there, big universe, lots of cool creativity and so on. So what does the Bible say? What can we draw from science? Obviously, I'm not an astronomer or there's actually a word for scientists that studies aliens. The possibility of alien life, but it might come to me later. What does the Bible say? Nothing.
Dang it.
Nothing. Sorry. I mean, not exactly nothing. I'll come to this at the end. But in terms of what we are thinking about, generally speaking, in terms of alien life, whether that is humanoid form, animal form, or something that we'd struggle to recognize even. Intelligent life forms from outer space. That's generally what we mean, isn't it? The Bible doesn't really speak to it. And now, that doesn't mean there aren't aliens, but I think it does point us in a certain direction. It does point us to the fact that the Bible and God is not really interested in that question as such. The Bible is concerned with, the central question of life, which is who is God and what is our relationship to him, what should it be, and so on. That's what the Bible is concerned of, and aliens just don't kind of factor into that. The possibility of extraterrestrial life doesn't factor into that. And I think that is important to grasp because I think ultimately, other than just for pure enjoyment's sake, I don't think there is much fruitfulness in pursuing this question, in going down the rabbit hole of UFOs, have they come, will they come, any of this sort of thing. And I do reckon that is kind of backed up by the science, to be honest. Obviously, depending on which scientist you read or media report or whatever, you might not agree with that. But I'm personally kind of convinced by what's called the Fermi paradox, which is that if they're right about the size of the universe, the age of the universe, that it follows that we should have certainly encountered alien life already.
Yeah, sure.
And the fact that we haven't does suggest something. Now, scientists go, oh, maybe we wouldn't recognize. Yeah, go on, you go.
But yeah, isn't it like so much of space and the universe that we haven't actually explored? So
this is the counter argument to the Fermi paradox, right? The Fermi. So one side goes, oh, space is so big and so vast, there must be alien life. But the Fermi paradox goes, well, actually, no, the logic actually goes against you. If it was so big and so old, then you should have already encountered it if it was there. So these are two arguments that are kind of posed against each other. But I kind of lean on this side that goes, it makes sense. Now, there's plenty of other people who go, no, maybe we just haven't recognized it yet, or that life is so far away. But again, if you accept arguments on the age of the universe and how many planets and so on out there, which, a lot of that seems pretty observably true in terms of particularly how many galaxies, solar systems are out there, then it does seem quite interesting that there has been no, look, I would argue no really creditable engagement with I take it about some of the arguments that there has been UFO engagement with humanity, but gee, it seems very thin to me. Interesting, and not all explainable. So hear me well on that. I'm not saying that you can explain everything. I'm just saying that we haven't had the first contact moment that we can tell. And that seems very suspicious to me that we haven't, in the sense that maybe then it's not out there.
Unless they weren't the intelligent creatures that we imagine them to be.
Yeah, so this is one argument that people make. They go, we maybe we've had interaction, we just don't even realise it because we're such different life forms and so on. And it's like, well, maybe, but again, then you go, what does that mean for us if we can't even interact? We don't even know that we're interacting with them. So where is the fruitfulness? You could spend a lot of energy. That's right. And here's the thing. So I think we should have encountered alien. If there was alien life, we should have. I think the Bible points to the fact that there probably isn't, because I think it would impact society quite significantly if there was. And I think that would require the Bible to speak to it. The fact that it hasn't, now, you might disagree on that, and that's okay. You can disagree with me on this thing. But again, I think the Bible is much more interested in what are you doing with your life today? What are you doing with, are you going to love God and love people? What are you doing with the time, the energy, the money that God has given you? Are you using them to serve others for his glory and so on? And spending a lot of time thinking about alien life or even investing in the possibility that there might be alien life just doesn't fit with that for me. But let's remember, here's one last thing, okay? It's something we don't think about too often. We're curious about alien life. We're fascinated by it. And I think that's because we have the desire to have an encounter with something bigger. We want there to be something more than just the day-to-day digging holes or pushing paper around or whatever it might be that we do. Something bigger beyond ourselves. And in that sense, the Bible does say there is alien life. It's not the alien life of big eyes and sci-fi movies and this sort of stuff, crazy fingers. It's God. God is an alien life form. He is a transcendent being, bigger than us, more intelligent than us, mysterious, not fully explainable, but who we actually can know and have a relationship with. And I would encourage people to channel their desire for the fascinating, the mysterious into God, because he is all of those things.
Yeah, that's a good take.
Yeah.
Our last question is, what is the best way to talk to a non-Christian about Jesus?
Yeah, and I think context matters for this one, hey? There is no one non-Christian. It's even hard to kind of categorize. There's 4 types of non-Christian and so on. Everyone's different, and your context, your relationship, talking to your family about Jesus is very different to the person you just met at your friend's birthday party. So there's context. So let's start with context. I think the best thing you can ever do with a person that you're keen to talk to Jesus about is understand their context, understand some of what's going on for them, their story, because I think that shapes the way that you might engage with them about Jesus. We often think about the person we often go to in our heads is the person who's at rock bottom. You know what I mean? We go, you've heard it before maybe. It's not until people hit rock bottom that they need Jesus or something, which can be true. There's some truth to that, but it's not always true. Think about context in this way. Just as the person who needs forgiveness for stuffing their life up, or needs to know God's love because they feel utterly unloved and so on, needs Jesus. So does the person who's got life altogether. You know, that's a context as well. And you can engage with people in that context. I reckon the key to actually all situations is what a guy called Greg Koukl calls putting a rock in their shoe. The answer to everyone is putting a little rock. You know that feeling like you've got a rock in your shoe. You don't immediately deal with it. You put up with it for a while.
It becomes annoying.
But it becomes annoying. You can't ignore it. Eventually, you got to do something about it. And that's what we're trying to do with people. We're trying to put a rock in people's shoes. And the best way to do that, I think, is about asking questions based on their context. So think about this. Let's play it out. You're having a conversation with someone. You want to ask their story. You get their context. You get what's going on for them and what sort of life maybe they've had. This rarely takes place in one conversation, but it can. Sometimes it can. You understand their context, and then you think about what's the rock in the shoe question. Let's play it out. So you're talking to someone, they're doing well in life. Life's good. A measure of success. They feel like they're doing okay. You know what I mean? They're doing okay at life. Here's a couple of questions you could ask. You know what? Don't you reckon it's pretty risky to have all your happiness rest on life going well? I mean, what if you were to lose your job, or something was to there was sickness? You love exercise and being active and all this. What if you got a really bad injury? What would happen then in your life? Which there's the rock in the shoe, but also the opportunity if you go, you know what? Actually, I've found a way to have joy, even if I lost my job, if my body wasn't any good, if something was to happen to my family, because all of these things can happen. Wouldn't that be a good thing? Wouldn't that be cool? Something along those lines. So wouldn't it be good to have a source of joy that doesn't rely on life going well? Because often life doesn't always go well in the moment, but it might not. Or with successful people, for people whose life is going well, you might even be willing to go a bit bolder and go, but have you ever thought about what happens after you die? What do you reckon happens after that? What if there is an afterlife? And what if there is a God? Have you ever thought, what if there's a God that doesn't measure how good your life is based on the way that you do? What if he would, you'd stand before him and he'd look at your life and go, yeah, but you did all this stuff, but you didn't do it for what I made you to do it for. I mean, have you ever thought about that? That's a very hard question for a person who thinks they're killing it in life to go, yeah, what happens after that? What about people who are struggling or who are having a tough time in life? You can ask questions like, where do you find your hope? Is that a good place to find your hope? Lots of people, humans are naturally geared towards finding hope. But often, people without God or without Jesus, they cling to things that are very unsure. So asking, where do you find your hope? What if that doesn't come through? What if that job application, what if you don't get that job? Or what if those good things don't happen that you're relying on? Man, wouldn't you want a source of hope that kind of is 100%? You can suggest to them, what if actually there's a better hope out there than the thing that you're clinging to? Maybe I'll just be able to get through life. What if there's a better option than that? Have you ever thought, man, you need to check out Jesus, because Jesus offers a better hope than just getting through life. He offers you a purpose in your life that goes beyond any of these things. So just asking these questions. There's, of course, other questions you can ask. How do you know what a good life looks like? How do you know the right way to live? How confident are you that you've got that right? Where do you get your confidence in that? How can you be so confident that you're doing what you were meant to do with your life? Have you ever checked out a church? Might not be what you think. Maybe there's more to God and Jesus than you realise. Now, this can all happen through... I find... Sam Chan, a writer on this, he used to suggest a lot that if you ask people their story, eventually people will ask your story.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical of that these days.
Sometimes.
I find that people have lost a lot of the art of conversation, and they've also become pretty intrinsic in terms of self-focused, and actually that's not happening very often. So what could often happen is you ask them your story, you ask their story, they just don't ask back anything. They either wait for you to ask more questions about them, or just start talking about other things that they care about.
Yeah, which is hard because like personal testimony is really powerful.
It's a lovely thing. And look, there's ways to break into that and go, you know, if you're pretty strong on this, you can just go, okay, that's really interesting. You know what? Here's what I do with, before they even get the opportunity, and without, instead of waiting for them to ask you the question, just start going. That's a possibility. But yeah, I think generally speaking, the best thing to do, people are waiting for you to ask them questions. They want to talk about themselves. They want to talk about their lives. And the best thing you can do is throw in that rock in the shoe question that's going to cause them some discomfort, and hopefully enough to wrestle with and go, actually, I wonder if I do need to think about that or check that out. But of course, the best way to talk to people about Jesus is to talk to them prayerfully. Pray before you catch up with someone. Pray before you go to a party or to work. Pray before you go for a walk. Pray that God would lead you to people He's preparing to know Christ. Pray that He'd help you to speak warmly, gently, but also wisely and pointedly. Pray that He would help you to love others enough to desire their salvation, and pray that He would work in their hearts to draw them to knowing Jesus. Because, your words, God will work through them, but it's only if God works through them.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm always surprised when God brings opportunities, when I'm praying that He will bring opportunities. He always seems to do that.
Yep.
Cool.
And I think by praying, you become much more aware that the opportunities were always there. There is no shortage of opportunities. The only danger of the prayer of God, give me opportunities, is it fails to recognize that the opportunities are almost always there. I think it's much more about praying, God, help me to use the opportunities that you've already put in front of me. Help me to be bold enough. Help me to speak wisely.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, hope that's been helpful. Thanks for those questions. Is there anything coming up?
Looking into Exodus, continuing in Exodus, Israel in the wilderness, beginning to grumble against the God who's rescued them, but God's wonderful provision and graciousness to them. And other than that, all the good things that we usually do. You can use the app to daily blog. What else? More old Living Grounded episodes. Catch up on the sermon. Yeah,
great. Have a great week, and we'll see you Sunday.
See you Sunday. Ciao.